Hello, I am Shabani. This is the Curly Bookworm, and we're doing a discussion video today. You know what a discussion video is? You know the one in which I talked about travel and books and how I feel about that. Sort of like that, but this one's a different topic. Let's get into it. Discussion videos are super fun for me because I get to talk and you get to listen like always, but I get to talk about stuff without editing and I can just say whatever I want to say. Today's discussion video is about DNFing books. For those who don't know, DNF is did not finish, and a lot of us have a lot of guilt about not finishing a book. It could be because you bought the book, so you've paid a price for it. It could be because you're a hardcore book lover and you feel like, dang, I have to finish this book. I have to. It could be because you are a non quitter in all things in life, and this is just one of those things that you do. But for me, I DNF books a lot. Well, not a lot. I read more than I DNF, obviously. One of the factors which actually help me not DNF is recommendations, whether it's BookTube or whether it's friends or family. But today I want to talk about what kind of books I DNF, why I DNF them, and hopefully you guys will get to participate in this conversation as well, because I know a lot of people have a lot of guilt about dropping books. A lot of people end up DNFing, you guys, so don't feel bad about DNFing. I certainly don't. The reason why I DNF is because there's a ton of books out there. I mean, there's so much to read, so many stories to learn about, so many characters to discover and become best friends with, that I don't know if I have the time to sort of waste on a book that I don't enjoy. And it's not insulting to the author, and neither is it insulting to like books in general. There are movies that you don't like, right? Shows, for example, are things that, again, like if you don't like the first episode, most likely you won't carry on to the second or the third or whatever it is. So why is it that we feel so bad when we DNF a book? I want to talk about how I DNF first. I typically read about 50 to 100 pages of a book before I decide that this is not working for me. Mostly this is what I do, but there are some exceptions to this. Very rarely, but sometimes I DNF a book all the way at the end. Like when I'm done 3/4 of it, I'm just like, dudes, it's just not working for me. I can't. I just physically cannot bring myself to do it. And very rarely on the other end of the spectrum, I will pick up a book, I will read the first 20 pages and just immediately be turned off. When do I DNF a book? Typically, it's a few reasons, right? The first one, and typically a deal breaker for me, is characters who are just not doing their thing. I mean, I don't like stereotypical characters at all. I don't pick up stereotypical books at all. So I don't like books that stereotype people. I don't like books that stereotype anything. I don't like stereotype anything. I read books because I expected to sort of expand my universe and expand my thinking. I obviously also read books because I like the entertainment that comes out of it. But I don't like reading books that are regressive. It doesn't grow you as a person. And a large part of why I read is because I feel like my universe expands when I read. And so characters that are stereotypical, situations that are stereotypical, not necessarily a scene, but an entire book or a plot that is driven by stereotypical characters or story, is something that I just, I drop. I just feel like it's not adding any value to my life. And with these kind of books, I have like zero guilt. I have no guilt at all. Another reason why I DNF books is the story. Like a lot of times what happens is the story sounds really great at the back of the book in the synopsis, but then it ends up being really freaking slow, like just super, super, super slow. I don't know if it's because it's 2017, but I'm not able to read stories that are really slow anymore. I almost feel like this I feel bad about. I feel slightly, not well guilty about, but I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of really good stories because I don't like stories that are really, really slow. It takes me much longer to read them, and I guess, I mean, that's one of the factors, but it doesn't hold me. And those are stories that I prefer not to read, with the exception of maybe like classics. Those are going to be slow regardless, and you're going to have to deal with it. Not all of them, but some of them. And that I maybe like I give that a chance. That and like other books, like for example, The Book Thief is super, super, super slow, but I finished reading it in any case because it was a recommendation and everybody was going on and on about it. But in a lot of cases, if the story is slow, then I just give up on it because I don't have the time. Sorry. I don't mean to sound like a snob, but like I can't. And I'm terrible at forcing myself to do things. So I'd rather just live with, hey, I can't do it and move on, you know? Another thing that really gets to me, and I often end up dropping books for, is immature plots. If plots are kind of lame, illogical, immature, I don't know. They don't end up working for me at all. I read a lot of books for the characters in it more than the story. Of course, the story and the plot are super important, but when the characters fail, I when I say fail, I mean not like a failure in life, but like when the characters fail to sort of hold me because they're immature, because, like I said, they're stereotypical, or they have nothing to add in terms of value for my life, and my mind and my universe and my whatever. I feel like, okay, time to go, like time to just leave this book alone. So the question is, do I ever finish reading a bad book? Yes. A lot of times, books that I consider bad or books that I'm not enjoying, a lot of times I end up finishing it. It's mostly because a lot of people would have said it's really good, plow through it, get to the end, kind of a thing. And yeah, I end up finding that they're bad anyway, but I get through some of them. So I don't give up on everything that I feel like is not great enough for me to read. Another reason why sometimes I end up reading a book is because I go through 3 quarters of it and I'm like, shit, it's just really taken a really bad turn and I don't want to finish reading this book. But then I end up reading this book because I've 3 quarters. That's a lot of investment. So you're like, fine, let's just get through this and see if there's any redemption and see if there's anything towards the end that'll make it any better. Most of the times my instinct is right and it doesn't get any better. But that's one of the reasons why I do end up reading or finishing bad books. The other thing that I want to talk about is series. Investing in a book series is a lot of time, right, and a lot of effort. And sometimes what happens is I read the first book and I'm like okay with it. And then I'm just wondering, should I go on to the next book and the book after that or whatever it is. If books are not that captivating in the first book, I actually end up going to the second. I actually give it a chance. I'm that girl when it comes to series. But in a lot of cases, I feel like if they're bad, like if I can barely get through the first book, then there are chances that I will not go through the second book. I know a lot of people who are compelled to finish the series because they're like, oh, I bought all of these books and now I have to finish them. I don't have any such guilt. I do not feel bad about not finishing a series. I do weirdly wonder about, hey, I wonder what happened in the second book. Just time to time, you're just like, I wonder if it got any better. So this whole FOMO is still there. And you're wondering, are you one of those people who just missed the boat because you didn't give it a second chance? But it's just something that you have to live with. So those are the reasons why I DNF. Those are the kind of books that I DNF. And I have, like I said, very little guilt or no guilt at all when I'm DNFing a book. I want to know your thoughts on this. I would love to know what you guys think about not finishing a book and how it makes you feel. Leave me your comments below in the comment box, and of course, as usual, do your liking, sharing this video and all of that thing. Subscribe to the channel by hitting the alarm button, all of that jazz. I gotta go to work now. Bye.